This episode of Connecting the Art.tv on GabLocal.tv is brought to you by The Break Room, a Metro eatery in downtown Topeka.
Chris Schultz here with Connecting the Art.tv and GabLocal.tv, and we are in the Break Room studio with Marty Hillard. He is from Ebony Tusks, and he is a nominee for an Arty Award from Arts Connect this year. I'm so glad to have you here. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm a huge fan of your work. I love Ebony Tusks, and I think you've done some really spectacular works. Can you just tell us a little bit about, Ebony Tusks, how it's formed, and your background as far as how we got to this point here today?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been a member of Ebony Tusks since 2010, and alongside my bandmates Daniel and Geese, we are a hip-hop trio based originally out of Lawrence, Kansas, but I live here in Topeka. Daniel lives in Lawrence, and our bandmate Geese lives in Kansas City, and we're spread out throughout the Midwest region in terms of places and cities that we play, but very proud to be from this particular strip of Northeast Kansas along I-70. I moved to Topeka in 1992, lived in Lawrence from 2007 to 2012, and moved back in 2012, started a family, and lived near downtown Topeka.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Very cool, very cool. Well, how did you guys come together? How did you meet?
Well, originally Ebony Tusks started with a couple of different producers, and at some point I had asked Daniel to be my regular performance DJ for playback, but then also just for interaction on stage. Mm-hmm. That was roughly I want to say 2011, 2012, and then Geese joined shortly thereafter, starting out as our light technician, but then becoming our hype man pretty quickly. So we've been running this lineup for the better part of the last 4 to 5 years, and they've also come to be producers in the group as well as myself. The three of us all share production duties. So
Very interesting. Okay, so you got to give me like the craziest story. You've been to a lot of cool places, performed in a lot of cool places.
Sure, yeah.
You guys opened for Public Enemy.
Yes.
Like, some really cool things there.
Yes.
What's the craziest story you have about performing in a venue, great crowd of people?
I would definitely have to say we performed with Talib Kweli in support of him back in 2015 at the Granada summer evening. I want to say that was like mid-July, and not only was the crowd really receptive, but I feel like we presented ourselves at our height. Definitely had a really great positive performance. It's funny that you ask crazy, because usually what I'm looking for is something that's a very linear experience. We want it to be as crazy free as possible. I want it to go as smoothly as possible, because our shows do tend to be a little more aggressive, a little more chaotic than the average hip hop set. So as a means of control, everything else, all the other variables around it need to be a little more tailored. I wish I could give you a particularly strange story. I can't think of one off the top of my head, though.
It's such a unique thing to begin with.
Right. I think more than anything, we're just trying to have that type of experience on stage within the performance, like really turn it in to ourselves and be present every time that we perform. Anybody who's come to see us, especially in the last couple of years, has gotten really familiar with what that experience is like. Before we play, I feel like we all try to be tame and humble and really forthright. Like, we try to be earnest about wanting to be there to perform, and then as soon as we get off stage, it's about the same type of humility.
Yeah.
But just for that 25, 30, 35 minutes, that's the point that needs to be as chaotic and as free as possible. So yeah, and that's hard to describe. That's hard to describe without without encouraging people to just come see us and experience it for themselves. So
yeah, that's clearly the best answer. So
Yeah.
put Ebony Tusks on your calendar. Make sure you check them out.
Right.
Okay, so I want to if you have to select just one person in your life who has influenced you the most, who would you say that is?
It had to be a couple of people. I mean, my brother Dimitri was in a rap group back in the early to mid '90s, and then he and I were in a rap group in the mid '90s while I was still in middle school. So, and he's had a lifelong love of hip hop music and culture, and that's something that inspired me really early on. I mean, I'm fortunate to come from a family of music lovers and musicians. The other person would be my sister. She played guitar and piano growing up, and so we spent a lot of time singing together, singing harmony with one another. And I just took their early love of music and ran with it, honestly. And it's taken me really far. I'm grateful for them and for it.
So if I were to ask you, what would the 8-year-old version of you do in your spare time, what would that be?
So back in 1991, that was when we lived in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, my family and I, and at the time I was really into video games. And so my dad was always good about having the latest console available for me to play. So at that time that would have been Nintendo, and as well as the Game Boy. So spent a lot of time playing video games. I had a buddy who owned a Sega Master System, which preceded the Sega Genesis. It was an 8-bit system, and so and then I also had another family friend who had a TurboGrafx 16. So
yes.
So those are probably the strongest memories I have, is just really being into video games and cartoons back when I was 8, and getting in a number of scraps with the neighbor kids because we were all military brats. So so when I was 8, that was the biggest thing on the agenda, is trying to avoid fights and get some good playtime in and playing Nintendo a lot. So
I remember it was the Commodore VIC-20.
Oh,
Used
sure.
a tape cassette.
Yes.
For the programs.
Oh wow, yeah.
It's fun stuff.
That's sick, yeah.
All right. Now, what do you think of Topekas art scene as it stands today? What's the state of it here?
Well, I think just to kind of speak back to when I moved away and when I came back. I mean, when I left Topeka in 2007, I think there were some really interesting things happening, but on a very, very underground level. And when I moved back in 2012, it was very clear that there was a lot more infrastructure present. Not only like a community interest, but people willing to pony up space and accommodate more art experiences, and definitely more artists. Whether they were born to the Washburn University community or people that have been here for quite a while, just starting to link up and really push the agenda of art in Topeka in a really positive manner. And so in the last 4 years, I've only seen that grow in a number of neighborhoods, which has been great to see. Whether that's here in downtown Topeka, or with the Noto Arts District, with the number of businesses that have opened up in that area. It's been cool to see more central locations, more accessible locations for lots of different Topekans begin to spring up here downtown in central Topeka, and then other parts of the city as well. So, I think it's starting to thrive. I think it's definitely coming into its own, and I think there's definitely room to grow.
What do you want to say to the people who nominated Ebony Tusks for an Arty Award?
I'm really flattered. I'm really flattered on behalf of my band, but also just as a Topekan, it's very important to me that these platforms, with the Arty Awards, that these platforms are available not only to celebrate the artists who create this work, but also to remind us all that this is happening, that this is a reality in this community, and this is something worthy of celebration, not only from an individual standpoint, but just the community at large. That there are so many great voices that we're hearing exclusively in the arts community here in Topeka, and it's really, I'm really flattered to be a part of it. I think it's wonderful company to be among. I'm really grateful for all of the experiences that I've had even in the last 12 months here in Topeka. Some of the things that I've been privy to and had an opportunity to do outside of Ebony Tusks, as a poet and as a graphic designer. I'm just so grateful that so many doors have opened up for me to be able to express myself in a number of voices. Yeah. And so I feel really good. I feel really good about it.
Yeah. Now, if you could take a crystal ball, look 5 years into the future, what would you want to see for Topeka's art scene?
More infrastructure, more spaces, more business owners willing to create opportunities for multimedia to exist, and for these voices to take shape. I just feel so fortunate to know so many visual artists, whether they're photographers or sculptors or painters, poets, folk musicians, rock bands, hip hop artists. So many people working in a lot of different media to create, these really interesting experiences, and so much of that happens literally in physical spaces. The demand for that is growing, and I hope that business owners, property owners continue to respond positively to that and create those opportunities. I'm also hoping that more music venues do continue to pop up and flourish. I definitely think that you see the type of growth that draws bands in from the region and bands from a national standpoint into cities that have multiple music venues, multiple opportunities to come back into the city, revisit it, get in different spaces. That can only be a positive. So I'm hoping for more of that infrastructure.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Well, is there anything I didn't ask you think I maybe should have?
I don't think so, no.
All right. Well, then we'll go to the notorious lightning round.
Lightning round.
Yes, where we're going to put 60 seconds on our big fake clock over there. And, don't look too hard for it. It's not there.
There's a clock, huh?
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you these questions. You just give me the thing that pops to your mind first with it, all right?
Yes.
Here we go. In your opinion, what was the greatest movie ever made?
The Never-Ending Story or Crooklyn.
Oh, all right. Which big-name celebrity do you idolize the most?
Oh, man. I can't answer that. I'm sorry. Because I just, I wish I could. I could. I don't know if idolize is the way I would describe it. I don't even know if celebrity is something I admire at this point. It's hard to answer that. I mean, there's definitely a lot of celebrities that I acknowledge.
You admire the anti-celebrity then?
Something like that too. I feel like that's a celebrity as well. But I think I admire anyone who's willing to use their platform to do something that they believe in, and that's quite a few. That's quite a few celebrities at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good answer. Good answer. If you had one superpower, what would it be?
To breathe underwater, I suppose. Yeah, because I can't swim. I'm not a swimmer, so that would be the first thing I would need.
Do you have any tattoos?
No.
All right. If you could take one personal item with you on a trip to Mars, what would it be?
Fruit snacks.
All right. Who are the top 3 people who make you laugh the most?
John Westbrook Jr., Nikki McMillan, and myself.
What's your favorite kind of sandwich?
Ham.
What's your favorite kind of music?
Can't answer that. I love music. I love music a lot. So.
Good. You're not the only one that says that. That's good. That's
yeah.
Good. Yeah. If you were an ice cream flavor, what would it be and why?
Chocolate chocolate chip
All right.
from G's specifically, G's custard. So why? It's delicious. It's just really good. It's really good. It's not good for me, but it's very, very great.
That works. And who's your favorite local talk show host?
Is there somebody named Chris Schultz?
I've heard that. I've heard of them. I've actually.
Is
I think I saw him on a poster.
it's like really, it's really vague in my memory.
Hey, thank you very much for coming by, man. I really do appreciate it.
No, yeah, of course, yeah, thank you.
Congratulations, and keep up the great work. Please, spread all the love with the other guys in Ebony Tusks.
Of course, yeah, of
All
course,
right.
absolutely. Thank you.
And keep fighting the good fight. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem. Thank you.